I've got myself a nice cup of tea. Hello, welcome back to my channel. My name's Holly. If you've not seen the previous video, I suggest you please check that out so you can keep up to date with what I've been doing. This is the second episode in a series of customizing a Blythe doll from start to finish. In the first episode, I was carving and sanding the doll. I have currently got a blank faceplate that has been carved and sanded, and I've also sealed it with a thin layer of spray sealant. The next steps now are to start to paint the face, and this is my favourite part of the process, so I cannot wait to get started. The concept that I'm working on is around the theme of a poisoned strawberry. So this is a drawing that I created in the last episode, and this is a rough guide for myself to focus on and get some ideas on how she's going to look. So for this doll, I really want to do the multicoloured hair, so she'll have pink, red and black in her hair. She's going to have some tattoos. I'm not sure whether they're going to either be red or black yet. She's got a very kind of dark and mysterious makeup with lots of red, lots of pink, maybe a little bit of black in the lips and in the eyes. She's going to have some kind of sad eyebrows and some flower resin eye chips as well. I will also work on details such as some polymer clay ears. I will add some accessories such as a leather harness, a leather choker, some little punky details that will give her that little bit of added edge and character. And maybe some earrings as well, and maybe some freckles and small details on the face. I'm really excited by this concept. So she's quite a sweet girl. She has a strawberry dress that I already have. You can see that in the previous video. But also she has quite a dark and sad theme too as well. So if you like strawberries, if you like dolls, and if you like watching the process of making custom Blythe dolls, you will enjoy this video. So thank you for watching, and here we go. Let's get started. So what I like to do is I start off with a nice base coat of pastel. I start with a pinky tone on the lips. I also focus on the inner corners of the eyes as well. Because I sprayed the sealant to begin with, the pastel does stick quite nicely to the faceplate. I also make sure to wear a mask just to protect myself from any dust. Here I'm just building up the colours with pastel, focusing on the inner corners of the eyes and the lips. I do dust off with a softer brush just to remove any excess pastel dust. The pastels that I use are both Sennelier and pan pastel. I use a brush just to pick up the dust. I then slowly build up the layers of colour. I find pan pastels quite easy to use, but the pigment is very soft. For this reason, I find myself more drawn to the Sennelier, but I know that quite a few artists do like the pan pastels, so I'd like to give them more of a try. Again, I'm just building up the colour using darker tones now. I'm getting in some blue as well because that does create a more deeper shadow. So it's about time to spray another layer of spray sealant on the doll, and then I can go back in with another coat of pastel. I just came in from spraying the second layer of spray sealant, and now I'm ready for the second layer of pastels. For the second coat, I like to go in with more depth and deeper colours. I try to get in between the lips. This creates a nice definition and shadow, giving the lips a more realistic tone. I also add more to the inner corners of the eyes. I want this particular doll to have a kind of sad expression, so I made sure to focus on the inner corners, creating a lot of shadows and depth. I now go in with a fine pencil and start to add lip lines. I already have carved lip lines, but I add more lines with pencil just to create even more detail and realism. The pencils that I use are a water-based pencil, so I can always go in with water afterwards and smudge the lines or add more details. Here I'm using a gouache set to create more depth and darkness in the lip. I really wanted to have that deep dark red colour coming out from the middle of her lips, almost as if she's just bitten into a poisoned strawberry. As soon as I start to add the deeper colours, I fall in love with this doll. I really think that the dark lips give her kind of a gothic edge. Here I'm using a red watercolour pencil to create a deep red on the inside of the eyes. This creates a really visually appealing waterline on the eyes. I also use a lighter pink just to add some lines and details to give her more realism. I think at this stage she's really starting to come to life, and I can already see the resemblance to the initial sketch that I did. Let me know in the comments what you think to her so far. So that's it for today. I'm quite happy with the work I got done today. I do really like the makeup look, and I think it is quite in keeping with the original sketch that I did. So far so good, and tomorrow will be another day of painting the face. I'll start adding more details. She'll get some eyelashes, and I'll potentially start doing the eyebrows as well. There's just so much to do, so many little details that I can't wait to get started on, and I can't wait to see how she turns out. So I'm back to work, and it's actually been a few days in between recording. I just haven't had any time at all to do any work on this doll. So I'm trying to catch up a little bit now, and hopefully we can get back into it and carry on with some details on the face. So today I'm thinking to add the eyelashes under the eyes. I'm going to add some eyebrows as well, and maybe I'll add some freckles and some smaller details. I'm also thinking that I might go in and do some work on the eyelids, and then she'll start to slowly come together. So today there's actually a really bad storm that's running rampant across the UK, so it's really dangerous to be outside, really wet and really windy. So I won't be going out for a walk or anything like that today. I'll just be in and I'll be doing the details on the doll, which I don't mind too much. It's nice and cozy inside. Despite the awful weather outside, I'm really happy because I have some beautiful new flowers to brighten up my desk. So today I'm really focusing on adding more details. I'm starting to work on the eyebrows as well, paying close attention to my original sketch. To create the eyebrows, I usually draw one stroke at a time. This creates the illusion of real hairs. I always find that the eyebrows are quite tricky to get matching, so I spend a lot of time trying to plot out the shape and style of the eyebrows. I take my time and draw individual strokes. I do the same for the lower lashes as well, drawing individual hairs to create added realism and interest. I really like the look of the hand-drawn lower lashes. I do draw the lower lashes on every single doll that I create, and it's almost become part of my style. I'm really liking the way she looks so far. I think I might add more beauty marks in the future, but for now let's have another cup of tea. You've got to keep hydrated when doing such intricate work. One of my old art teachers always used to sharpen his pencils this way, and I kind of took on his habit. I'm now adding a brown pencil, doing the same motion by adding one stroke at a time and creating more realism and hairs. Now, you may have seen other doll artists do this technique before, but if you have an old toothbrush lying around, you can actually use it to create pretty realistic freckles. I simply dip this in some watered down gouache paint and then flick the bristles onto the face, and it creates a nice splatter of freckles on the face that's quite realistic. I've just done a bit more work on the face. I've added some freckles and beauty marks. I've also worked a little bit on the eyelashes and eyebrows, and I really like how they look so far. I might go back into the eyebrows a little bit more and make them a bit more sad looking, because that was my original idea for this doll. And I might add a little bit of eyeliner as well, but I'm not sure what colour to do yet. I might go for either a dark red or a deep brown. But yeah, I'm really looking forward to seeing how she turns out. I really like her so far. I really like the warm colour palette as well. So I decided to go with a deep red coloured eyeliner in the end. I feel like I just can't go without doing eyeliner on the dolls. It's like me in real life, I have to be wearing my eyeliner at all times. I just think it adds more interest and more detail to the doll and gives her more of a grown-up vibe. I used gouache paint for the eyeliner. I chose a dark red because I think it really pulls together the strawberry theme of the doll. I also go in again with a deep red pencil and I add more details such as the inner corners of the eyes and finish off the waterline. I use a brown pencil both for the lashes and also for the inner corners. This gives her a doe-eyed look that I really like. So I'm going to paint the eyelids now. I'm thinking to do a nice gradient colour to tie in the rest of the doll. I'm thinking to go from a dark brown / black to a red to a light pink, and that will reflect the hair as well when I finally get around to making that. I really have fun painting eyelids. You never know how it's going to look until you put them back into the doll. The idea that I had was based on some makeup looks that I saw on Pinterest. I really like the ombre gradient style of makeup, and so I decided to use a mix of pinks and black to create a nice warm gradient from the inner corners to the outer corners. One of my favourite things to use are iridescent mica powders. I find them really satisfying because you can use them either dry or with water, and with water they act almost like a paint and you can easily add nice shimmers and sparkle to your doll. And these are the eyelids so far. I think they really work well with the makeup look, almost perfectly. I was really happy with the results. So I think I'm going to call it a day for now. I'm going to have a bit of a rest now. I'm really happy with how it's turning out so far. I really love the colour scheme that I've been working on as well. I really like the mix of the darker colours with the more pinky and warm tones. The only thing I would change is I'd probably add a little bit more of the bright red, and I think there's still a chance to add a little bit more of that with some pastel later on. So because I can't spray sealant today, I'm going to wait until tomorrow and see if the weather clears up, and hopefully I can give this a nice spray and then go back in and add some more brighter red tones as well. But overall I'm quite happy and I think it was a productive day. So it's now the next day, and unfortunately the weather is still really bad and stormy, so I won't be able to go outside today and do any spraying. So what I thought instead, I'm going to stay in and I'm going to make some resin eye chips. I'm really excited to show the process of how I create the flower eye chips that you might have seen in some of my previous dolls online. So stay tuned and you'll see how I create the flower resin eye chips. Before that though, I do need to tidy up my desk and get ready to work with resin. So I'm now set up ready to work with resin. I'm going to be using the UV curable crystal resin that I got from Amazon. I've had this for a while. It's very sticky on top, but it's still got quite a bit of resin left, so that's fine to use. I also used some clay tools just to mix and add the powder and the glitter with these tools, so I didn't have to touch anything myself. I also have the eye mechanism that came with the doll. Now this has 4 sets of eyes, but I'm only going to be using one of the front facing eyes today to put in the resin. As you can see, I have so much glitter and little sparkles and gems and things like that. This is not even the whole collection, I have so much of this. I'm going to rummage through this drawer now and see what I can find for her eyes. If you remember from my drawing, I did actually include some resin eye chips on my sketch as well. I was thinking to add some red flowers with a gold or orange base. So I'm going to have a look through my stash here and see what I can find to try and create this. Because resin is an irritable substance, I'm going to wear gloves and a mask. I also recommend that you put on a fan or an air purifier as well if you're using resin. When I make the resin eye chips, I always do the first layer with clear resin. To cure the resin, it usually takes around 60 seconds. Now we get to do the fun part, so I start to layer up with different mica powders and shimmers. I really like to play around with different colour combinations. I start off with a base of bronze mica powder and brush that around with my clay tool. I then use another layer of resin. I coat the mica powder with the end of my clay tool. And then I go in with some different coloured mica powder. I also go in with some small beads. And then I add various different glitters. I make sure to wipe off any resin spillages just so it doesn't cure under the UV lamp as well. I then add in some gold flakes, which are really fun but sometimes fiddly to use. For the centre of the eyes, I'm using these teeny tiny red flowers. I have such a big collection of these small dried flowers. I make a pair of resin flower eye chips for every custom Blythe that I create. At this stage it really forms part of my style. I then go in with some smaller white dried flowers and I like to overlay them over the top of the red flowers. I cut off the small stems and overlay them individually on top. A top tip is to use a lighter just to remove any air bubbles so that you don't cause any problems when curing the resin. I've done this before where a small bubble has created such a massive mountain of resin that it's almost impossible to rectify, so I do be careful to pop any bubbles before I cure the resin. Finally, I pop the eyes back underneath the UV lamp for the final cure. And here they are, here's the eyes. I think they turned out really nice. I'm going to put those in the doll now and see what they look like. Don't forget to put on your fan or your air purifier if you have one, just to remove any fumes from the resin that might be lingering in the air. I'm just popping the doll back together. And unfortunately you're going to have to wait until the next video to see the results in the doll. I hope you don't mind having to wait until the next video. Thank you so much for watching and I hope you'll stay tuned and stick around for the next installment. If you'd like to subscribe, I'd really appreciate it. Thank you so much for joining me on this journey of creating a custom Blythe doll. Until next time, bye bye.